Boris out. Prime Minister cried for help as Green Party made brutal move to force him resign for new election. Green peer Jenny Jones slammed Prime Minister Boris Johnson for his conduct and demanded he resigns immediately to hold a new general election. Baroness Jones slammed Boris Johnson for the alleged rule breaks which have been hitting the press over the past few weeks. Rampant accusations of Tory MPs breaking their own rules to party during the lockdown have been rife, and many people including MPs have called for Mr Johnson's resignation due to the controversies. The Green peer discussed what needed to be done in Parliament, calling for another general election to get a new Prime Minister in charge of the country. Baroness Jones said of course, they should stand down if they've broken the rules, of course. A general election would be nice, wouldn't it? Because at the moment. Before Baroness Jones could finish, Mr Max said, "Do we really need that now? I mean, who else are we going to have in charge? You got Boris Johnson or Keir Starmer. I mean, really, it's like picking between two things that you don't want." The Green peer said, "That's an interesting point actually, and I can see it's perfectly valid, but at the same time if we have a general election we might actually have some sort of, I don't know, a government that has other people in it. We could have, perhaps they would ask if we had a couple more Green MPs, perhaps they'd ask us to join the government. It could be better, it can't be worse than the majority in the Commons, 80 plus people." Mr Max said, "Well, you say that, but the Green track record isn't great. You go Brighton and there are people sleeping on the streets. There are all sorts of things going wrong. People don't even have their bins collected. I mean, it's just a mess. None of you politicians know what you're doing." Many MPs have expressed their anger over the recent allegations of Tory MP rule breaking. The most recent to add to the list of controversies is a leaked photo of top Tory MPs socialising in the garden at No. 10 Downing Street with wine and cheese on the table during last year's lockdown. Deputy Leader of the Labour Party Angela Rayner said, "The Prime Minister consistently shows us he has no regard for the rules he puts in place for the rest of us." Alleged drinking and partying late into the evening at No. 10 when the rest of us were only recently getting one daily walk. There will be no announcement of future restrictions until at least next week as Downing Street are buoyed by hopeful Omicron data. Prime Minister Boris Johnson will not announce any fresh restrictions or measures ahead of Christmas Day, it has now emerged. Instead, the PM has been boosted by hopeful data around the mutant strain of COVID-19, Omicron, which is becoming dominant. The variant has been found to be milder than Delta, with a lower risk of hospitalization, in two separate studies on Wednesday. One of the studies was from Professor Neil Ferguson himself, who is widely nicknamed Professor Lockdown. Rather than announce New Year restrictions this week, it appears Mr Johnson will now unveil them at any time from December 27th onwards. A circuit breaker has been mooted, with a return to Step 2 of the lockdown roadmap. This would mean households are banned from meeting indoors, with a strict rule of 6 outdoors, of up to 2 households. There would be no indoor service for the hospitality sector, causing chaos for restaurants, pubs, and cafes and bars. Indoor entertainment venues could also be forced to shut up in January as a result of the measures. Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor, unveiled a £1 billion bailout with £6,000 grants for businesses affected by any impending restrictions at the beginning of next year earlier this week.